Hello, I'm here today to do a read aloud on the reading that I have on the differences between Hispanic, Latino, Spanish, Latinx, and Chicano. So I assigned this reading, and to just provide some additional support and commentary, I'm conducting a read aloud or a think aloud, where I read it out loud, I think about it, I annotate, and try to make sure that everyone understands what we're reading. So before I begin doing the read aloud, always before I do a reading, I try to read with a purpose. What is it that Ms. Ferguson wants me to do when I'm done reading this? What does she want me to do with the information? Well, I gave you some questions to answer. So let's read the questions so we know what we're looking for as we do the reading. So there are 3 questions. The first one is explain in your own words the differences between Hispanic, Latino, Spanish, Latinx, and Chicano. So I must learn about those in the article since that's the title of the article, but I just need to explain in my own words what the differences are. Number 2, why do you think it is important to understand these differences? And number 3, what do you think is the best way to determine what to call or label someone? Explain. So I am going to stop the share, and I'm going to share the actual article. Here it is. Hopefully you can see that. At the very top of the article, I have the link to where I got the information, and it's bilingualkidspot.com. And I have information about the author on the very bottom so you can determine how reliable the source is. And what I'm going to do right here is I'm working on the format, of annotating it. So I'm going to read through this with you all. The difference between Hispanic, Latino, Spanish, Latinx, Chicano, etc. What is the difference between Hispanic and Latino? What does Hispanic mean and what does Latino mean? What about other words such as Latinx and Chicano? Often there are different opinions and people can get confused when questioned about Hispanic versus Latino. In this article, we will go through the definitions of Hispanic, Latino, Spanish, Latinx, and Chicano. Then talk about what it means to be Hispanic and Latino and any similarities and differences between them. Okay, so this is a really brief preview of what article is about. That's what's right here. All right, we're gonna move on. So I'm gonna clear what I just did, and let's move the page down. It looks like the first section is Hispanic versus Latino. All right. Are there any other Spanish people coming? My friend asked, referring to our Spanish-speaking friends. Nope, we don't know anyone from Spain, I snidely responded. You know what I mean. What am I supposed to call them? She asked, her voice tinged with annoyance and desperation. Okay, so to me, this is problematic, this conversation that this author shares. I hate when people say, what am I supposed to call them? Or refers to other people as them. It seems dehumanizing. And it makes it seem like people are different than you when they're really not. So this is a frowny face that I made. That's my annotation there. If you're in the same boat as my friend and feel tongue-tied each time you want to refer to a Spanish-speaking person, rest assured that you are not alone. Okay, sometimes I'm not sure how to call people. So, okay, this will be helpful. The good news is clarity lies in the near future. Keep reading to learn everything you need to know about the Hispanic versus Latino argument and all the terms. Sorry, I gotta move this up. All the terms in between. In addition, I will teach you how the terms overlap and how to use them correctly. Okay, so first of all, Hispanic versus Latino. Okay, this is going to be some of the answers to my first question, differences. What does Hispanic mean? I think this is going to be important. The term Hispanic applies to a person who lives in, or comes from a Spanish-speaking country, or whose ancestors came from a Spanish-speaking country. So Hispanic, I'll write this on the side, we'll make a little text box. Hispanic equals, equals person from a Spanish-speaking country. All right. Where did the term Hispanic come from? Close this, scroll up a little bit. Let me, sorry, this is new for me, you guys. Let's see. Come on, annotations, come back up. Okay, clear all drawings. Where did it come from? The term first appeared in the 1970s on the US Census as a way to categorize Spanish-speaking residents. According to sociologist G. Christina Moore, in her book, Making Hispanics, Businesses, the Media, and Politicians also began promoting the word Hispanic as a way to group their Spanish-speaking audience together and gain more traction. Okay, so it seems like this term was a way to put Spanish, people who speak Spanish, into a category. That's where Hispanic originally came from in the 1970s. However, not everyone was so keen on the term. That means they weren't so fond of it. They didn't like it. In his article, Why You Should Give the Term Hispanic the Middle Finger, middle finger is not a good thing, Juan Arredondo says he abhors the term Hispanic. So that means he hates it because it represents the 1492 conquest of the Americas and the bloodshed that ensued while the land was being robbed from the natives. There are also many indigenous languages, that means native languages, by the people who lived there before Spanish people came, before the Spaniards came, still spoken in Spanish-speaking countries. Therefore, not everyone felt comfortable identifying with the Spanish-speaking conquistadors, conquerors. So to some people, Hispanic, the term Hispanic, I'm going to put this text right here. Hispanic equals conquest, colonialism, imperialism, the idea of like the Spaniards taking over the lands. So I'm going to clear that now and move this up. Let's continue. Due to the unrest over the term Hispanic, the term Latino appeared shortly after. So let's see what the difference between Hispanic versus Latino is. All right. The word Latino for males or Latina for female. So the A makes it female, feminine, I guess, and the O makes it masculine. Generally refers to someone from Latin America. That sounds like that's a geographical thing, not a language sort of thing. It sounds like Hispanic is based specifically on speaking Spanish so far. This is what my thoughts are. And some people don't like it because it represents like colonialism. And Latino refers to people from a specific place or area. According to Mincy Martinez Rivera, the Associate Director of Latino Studies from Indiana University, the term Latino technically refers to any person of Latin American descent residing in the United States. Latin American, on the other hand, is the correct term for someone who currently lives in Latin America. So, okay, I get this. Latino specifically refers to people in the United States. So Latino equals, equals people whose family come from Latin America, but they live in the US. That's what this says, I think. So what is Latin America? Latin America constitutes of Mexico, Central America, the Caribbean, and South America. So Latin America is a big area. It starts, the top of Latin America is Mexico, and it envelops the Caribbean, places like Puerto Rico and Cuba, and then goes down, and Dominican Republic and Haiti, and it goes down into Central America, and then it goes down into South America. So it's a huge, huge area of land. All right, let me clear that. And try moving down. Where did the term Latino come from? According to Dario Fernandez Morera, Associate Professor of Spanish and Portuguese at Northwestern University, Latino is a Spanish word meaning Latin, which was adopted into the English language. The term originally meant someone belonging to the people of ancient Latium in Italy whose language was Latin. Another definition for the word is someone who speaks a Romance language or a language that originally derived from Latin. The Romance languages are Italian, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and Romanian. However, once the English language adopted the term Latino, the definition narrowed. The US government adopted the term in 1997 to complement the term Hispanic. They used the term Latino to categorize Spanish speakers from Latin America. So it sounds like the US government in the late 1990s decided to use the word Latino to specify these are people who speak Spanish that are from Latin America. But the question is, do all Latinos speak Spanish? Technically, no. If you're using the original meaning of the word, Latino includes anyone who speaks a Romance language. If you're looking purely at geography, those from Latin America, the answer would still be no. There are different languages spoken within Latin America. For example, in Belize, they speak mainly English. In Brazil, they speak Portuguese. In Haiti, they speak French and Creole. So you can be a Latina or Latino and not speak Spanish. However, the US version of the word Latino does refer mainly to Spanish speakers from Latin America, although not always, so don't assume. Okay, next one. What does Latinx mean? You'll notice that's what I chose to use, even though it's a little bit controversial. If you spend much time exploring the Spanish-speaking world, you will probably run into the term Latinx, or C words written as, I don't know how to say this, AX instead of AOS. Sorry, my Spanish sucks. Latinx, I can do this part, is a gender-neutral term to replace Latino or Latina that began appearing online around 2004 and gradually becoming more common in written publications. So I want to make a little annotation for this right now. So I am going to write right here, Latinx, oops, that's Latin Z, equals gender neutral. That means that you're not specifying. You don't want to identify yourself as necessarily being male or female. Gender neutral term for Latina or Latino. M. Elves told Latina that Latinx is a way to embrace the rich and beautiful culture of our people while rejecting the gender restrictions of the generations before us. So Latinx is a more inclusive word. It's saying you don't have to necessarily identify as a male or female. You can just call yourself Latinx, if that makes sense. So I'm going to clear this drawings and move this down. Ooh. Let's keep on reading. However, not everyone is in favor of the Latinx movement. Daniel Hernandez from the Los Angeles Times points out that completely removing gender from the Spanish language is nearly impossible. Instead of amigos, you have amiguexes. How exactly would one pronounce amiguexes? The jury is still out on that one. Although it's good to know the meaning of Latinx to avoid confusion when you see it, you probably do not need to drive yourself crazy trying to incorporate it into your speech just yet. So this person in this article says that Latinx is a little controversial because some people are like, gender is part of the Spanish language and you can't just take it away. So I'm going to stop for a minute and tell you why I've chosen Latinx. As a teacher, I try to be inclusive as possible and include as many groups of people. If there are people that have roots in Latin America who live in the United States who do not identify necessarily as being male or female, Latino or Latina would not accurately describe them. Latinx is a more inclusive, accepting term, and that is why I'm using that label. Okay, but let's go on. So what does Chicano mean? Chicano is a synonym for Mexican American. So I pull down my annotation and do the text. I'm going to write Chicano equals Mexican American. So it refers to a United States citizen with Mexican ancestry. It was popular in the 1960s, but was quickly overshadowed by the terms Hispanics and Latinos. And I think it was overshadowed because not all people from Latin America are from Mexico. Mexico is just a small part of Latin America. And so the Chicano movement is specifically a movement centered around Mexican Americans in the United States. And it's a very specific group. And so I didn't call this the struggle for Chicano or Chicana equality because my unit's a little bigger and more inclusive. It does include Chicano and Chicana, but it includes also more groups of people. Some people, like actor Cheech Marin, still use the term because they feel it more accurately describes them than Hispanic or Latino. Can't I just call Spanish speakers Spanish? No, no, no. Please do not do that. Although Spanish is a nationality and a language, you can only label someone as Spanish if he or she is from the country of Spain. You may call a Spanish speaker just that, a Spanish speaker. Let me scroll this up. But that does not make them Spanish. If I take Spanish in school and study it, which I haven't, you can tell, that doesn't make me Spanish. Take English, for example. You would probably not refer to an English speaker as English. You would label that person based on where he or she was born, British, American, Australia, etc. The term Spanish works the same way. Therefore, if a person speaks Spanish but was born in Mexico, he or she is not Spanish, he or she is Mexican. Next question, can someone be both Hispanic and Latino? Sorry, excuse me. Yes, someone can fit both categories, but that does not make the two terms interchangeable. Just because someone is Hispanic and Latino doesn't mean that they always mean the same thing. They give you examples here. Take Sofia Vergara, for example. Vergara was born in Colombia, but is currently living in the United States. Therefore, she's Latina because she's from Latin American country, Colombia. Since she is from a country that is mainly Spanish-speaking, she is Hispanic as well. On the other hand, Marcos Alonso Mendoza, who is from Spain, does not fit both categories. He is Hispanic because he's from a Spanish-speaking country. However, he is not Latino because he is not from Latin America. Chris Cyborg, who's Brazilian, is Latina because she is from a Latin American country. However, since she is not from a Spanish-speaking country, she is not Hispanic. They speak Portuguese in Brazil. My sister-in-law lives in the United States and she is from Brazil. She would be considered not Hispanic because she does not speak Spanish. She would be considered Latina because she is from a Latin American country originally. Hispanic versus Latino, which term is correct? It all depends. If you're talking about a group of people who speak Spanish, you would technically refer to them as Hispanic. If you are referring to a group of people who are from Latin America, you would use the term Latino, Latinas. However, overall, Latino, Latina seems to be the most politically accepted term. So I would annotate this right here. Let me do this. Text right here. I would annotate this saying Hispanic equals Spanish speaking. Oops. Latino equals from Latin America. Okay, I think I got that. Now let me clear that and we'll continue to move on. Keep in mind that many Spanish speakers are less than thrilled by these labels. Ooh, that deserves a question, an exclamation point. So people don't like these labels at all. Both terms group together a wide range of people with little in common other than geography or language. In a survey done by Pew Research Center, they found that only 24% of adults prefer to be labeled as Hispanic or Latino. Surprisingly, 33% of those polled preferred Hispanic and only 14% preferred Latino. That's really interesting. An overwhelming 62% preferred to be labeled by their country of origin. Ooh, this is something that I need to like majorly annotate. Let's see. And let me circle this. This is super important. Oops, I'm not very good at this. For those born in the United States, about 48% preferred to be labeled as simply American or to be called American plus the country of their ancestry, such as Mexican American or Chilean American. So it really seems that, I'm going to put this little mark, most people prefer to be labeled by the country their ancestors come from. Not, so something very specific. So like Guatemalan American, I'm Brazilian American. Those are some examples. Therefore, if you want to be politically correct, take the time to find out where the person's from and ditch the Hispanic versus Latino debate altogether. Ooh, that's so important. Take the time to find out where they're from. Label the person by their nationality instead of the language they speak or the geography of his or her ancestors. Absolutely. That's very powerful. Take the time to find out. Okay, I'm going to clear this and move down. So if a person's from Honduras, refer to him or her as Honduran. If he or she is from Peru, refer to him or her as Peruvian. If you are uncertain about which word goes with the country, you can check out a list of nationalities or ask them. I just said that. That's not in the article. But asking people is probably the best way to find out what they want to be called. The Hispanic versus Latino summary. So big topic full of confusing information. The difference, here's a 3-point cheat sheet. Ooh, I didn't need to do any of this article reading. I could have just fast forwarded to this, haha, just joking. When speaking about a group, Latino refers to geography, a person from Latin America. Hispanic refers to language, a person from primarily Spanish-speaking countries. When speaking about an individual, refer to the person by their nationality, the country of origin. Neither term defines race or color. They are general terms that sum up a geographical or linguistic background, and a great deal of diversity lies within these umbrella terms. And then there's information about Vanessa. So I'm going to stop the share for a minute. I'm about to stop this recording. I hope that this question, this read aloud helped you be able to go through the article and find the answers to the questions. I think you can explain in your own words the differences between Hispanic, Latina, Latino, Latinx, and Chicano, Chicana, and Spanish. That was question 1. And question 2, think about why it's important to understand these differences. Okay, and I'm not going to tell you the answer to that, but use your judgment. You guys can think. You can come up with an answer to that. And then what would be the best way to label someone? Think about what we read and what they said and what people prefer. So this is all. This is my very first little screencast. I hope you enjoyed it. And I am now going to stop recording. Goodbye.